Just let me hook up my microphone here, folks, and I'll be with you. Well, good afternoon, everybody. This is Big Jed Kershaw here. Welcome to another edition of Stories of Survival. This week we got a real special story for you, folks. Comes down from the Canadian Northland, and I think you're going to enjoy this one. It really speaks to the will to survive against all odds. Anyhow, I just want to introduce our special guest this week. He's a noted outdoorsman and noted photographer from Russia originally, but now living in Canada. Vladimir Porlotski, everybody. He's also a champion chess master, and I think you'll see with his analytical mind how he attained that status when you hear the story of survival that he will tell today. So let's welcome everybody, Vladimir Porlotski. Hey Vladimir, good to have you here. Good to have you here, buddy. Good to have you here.
Thank you very much for having me here today, Jed. Thank you very much for having my body here today. I very much appreciate this time with you.
So, Vladimir, by the way, help yourself to some cookies there. The missus just made them the other day, and they're pretty good, actually. So, Vladimir, tell us what happened June 13th, 1982. You were walking home from work in the early evening of June 13th, 1982, in Wawa, Ontario. What exactly happened that night, Vlad? You were walking home from your job at the lumber yard, and something strange happened.
Well, you see, I was about 3 kilometers yet to go from home, and I walk this trail every night, so I know it well, and I was not scared at all. It was a beautiful time to walk, and I was just enjoying the evening air on my way home from work at the paper mill.
Yes, I think I can see that in my mind, Vlad. Yes, you're walking along this trail, and it's getting dark, and it's a long walk home, 3 kilometers still to go. What's going through your mind at this point? Sounds a bit scary to me.
Oh no, not scary at all normally. Just enjoying the evening air, as I say, and enjoying hearing the birds in the forest singing and those types of things, and maybe seeing the odd other animal or so, but nothing scary normally at all. Never, Jed. Never normally scary at all.
Yes, of course. Maybe a rabbit or two or a couple squirrels. I can imagine seeing things like that.
Well, yes, and sometimes I would even see a moose or a bear or even a wolf if I was lucky, but those things don't scare me, Jed. They don't scare me at all, those things.
Oh, really? Well, I guess Wawa is pretty much in the wilderness up there in the Canadian Northland. Lots of trees and rocks and things.
The Wawa area is many trees and many rocks and many lakes and many streams and many marshes and swamps, just like the swamps I was going by now, Jed. It's a lot of wilderness country up there. Wilderness. Yes, wilderness country.
Okay, so you were going by this swamp, Vlad. What happened?
Eventually, after so many, yes, I was going by this big swamp alongside the trail, and I couldn't hear very much goings on. It was getting later and almost dark now, and following me, and I wasn't sure what to do, but eventually I did spin around to look, and I didn't see anything following me, so I turned back and kept on my way home. But after several more seconds of walking, I could hear these sounds again, sounding like footprints following me. So I spun around again, and there I could see this big round thing, go into the bushes beside the swamp. And I didn't get a good look at it, so I couldn't tell what it was, but I think it was something round and about 3 feet tall, and then it went into the bushes. That's what I saw when I spun around. I went to look into those bushes, and just as I was leaving, because I couldn't seize it on the first inspections, something grabbed my legs, or my one leg, and then I stopped. I started kicking at it. I couldn't see it stills, but I started kicking at it and kicking, and finally it dropped my leg. But then it grabs on again and started pulling me until finally it pulls me off my feet, and I fall down on the ground, and it starts towing me towards the marsh edge, if you can believe that, Jed.
Gee, that's terrifying. I couldn't imagine it. What did you do next?
Luckily for me, there was a few small trees that I could grab onto, and so I did, and finally it released its grab on my leg, and I was able to get up and start my escape.
My lord, were you able to see what it was? Vlad, were you able to see what it was?
Yes, even though it let go, it still wanted to get to me, so it came after me, somewhat down the trail even, but I could finally see what it was, and you will not believe, Jed, what it was. If you can believe it, it was a giant beaver, a Canadian beaver, if you can believe that. He wanted my wooden leg, and he had already chewed up my wooden leg pretty badly, and that's what he wanted. He wanted to get my wooden leg, if you can believe that. I cannot believe it to this day, Jed, and that's my story of survival. If I hadn't been as strong as I was, I think I would be all chewed up into sawdust by today. Thank you, Jed, for having me here to tell my story of survival. Thank you.
Wow, that is an amazing story. Thanks for telling us that one, Vlad. There you have it, folks. Another amazing story of survival. This week with our guest visitor, Vladimir Porlotski. Next week, well, stay tuned. I can't tell you that just yet. But we got a special visitor next week, too, on Stories of Survival. Thanks for being with us, everybody. See you next week.